Yes, sorry. My name's Dr. Paul Richardson, and I serve as the clinical program leader and director of clinical research at the Jerome Multiple Myeloma Center, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm also the R.J. Corman Professor of Medicine at Harvard Medical School. Well, I think the trial is the first phase 3 study of mezigdomide to be reported, and I think in that setting it really establishes it, I think, as a new standard of care for the following reasons. One, the efficacy that's consistently seen across all subgroups of this particular trial, with more studies to follow, particularly SUCCESSOR-1. But also I think the manageability, the safety. What is really important to note is we saw very few opportunistic infections, less than 1%. Treatment-related mortality was truly minimal. And in fact, any mortality that was seen, the majority, over 60%, was due to progressive disease. And in that same context, the safety profile revealed no unexpected side effects. And interestingly enough, for the mezigdomide-carfilzomib-dexamethasone, there was less hypertension than seen with the control, because obviously we were able to use lower doses of carfilzomib and maintain efficacy. So in all respects, we saw a positive signal in terms of not only activity and efficacy, but also tolerability. Well, I think one of the most important pre-specified subgroups that we looked at was extramedullary disease, which is becoming an increasing challenge in multiple myeloma, especially in the era of CD38 monoclonal antibody therapy and, of course, BCMA-directed treatments. And what we saw was striking activity from mezigdomide, carfilzomib, and dexamethasone in this vulnerable subgroup. I think overall we saw the arrival of the convenience of an oral therapy, the most potent cell mod to date, which engenders 100% closure of the cerebral E3 ligase complex, compared to, say, for example, the immunomodulators, where at best they achieve 15 to 20%. And that phenomenon has translated to clinical benefit. What I think is particularly attractive about SUCCESSOR-2 is it reflects the success of a very carefully done phase 1, phase 2 program. And in the SUCCESSOR-2 study itself, we did a dose optimization strategy in stage 1 of the trial that then rolled into stage 2, which was the large phase 3 component. This dose optimization gives us a great deal of confidence around the dose that's being recommended, which is 1 milligram daily, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, partnered with carfilzomib accordingly. Another point to make is in terms of the infectious complications, our use of intravenous immune globulin was actually remarkably low, and the infections that we did see were typically highly manageable, and they were very much in the context of what community practice would find relatively straightforward to deal with. That's important because in the context of the newer treatments that we have for myeloma, such as immunotherapies, including bispecifics and importantly CAR-T, the complexity of some of the complications can be quite challenging. So I think for community practice, we now have a platform that's highly accessible, highly effective, and comparable to results seen, for example, in KarMMa-3 and even the subgroup analysis of CARTITUDE-4, where we're seeing a similar degree of benefit, which is really quite remarkable. So we're very excited, and we think the advent of mezigdomide-carfilzomib-dexamethasone will hopefully lead to FDA approval, and that SUCCESSOR-2 will provide a platform for not only approval of mezigdomide in combination with carfilzomib, but most importantly with subsequent trials, such as mezigdomide-bortezomib and dexamethasone SUCCESSOR-1, will have real-world application for the myeloma community broadly. Mezigdomide constitutes, we think, a very important oral therapy, which is exquisitely active even in the most resistant disease settings, and has the real convenience of combinability with other standard of care agents that will have a real impact, we believe, not only in academic centers, but also most importantly in community practice.